Can you hear that, Canada? No, I can't either. You know why that is? Because all the voices out there are being slowly silenced and suppressed. And it's all happened under your watch, out in the open, and with very little pushback or retaliation, which just solidifies my suspicion all along, and that's it. There are far, far too many Canadians ill-informed or indoctrinated by those who educate and inform them, namely those in academia and the media and the political class. The authoritarian central planners among us, they've been busy for decades making sure that they built up a massive structure as a means to maintain their dominance as far as what you're allowed to think or how you're allowed to think. And that structure has become so powerful that they're emboldened to now not just dictating and controlling those in the mainstream media to propagate a particular political narrative. Now they're turning to social media as a means to silence or suppress anyone that dares to stand up and challenge them. And of course they're going to use the pretense, just like, what was it, Vic Tays back in the day? When they were trying to be able to invade on your privacy online, what do you use? Well, we're doing it because we're going after the pedophiles. Or in this particular example, they're going after those evil white supremacists. You're either with us or you're on the side of these white nationalists, these Nazis, right? That's the kind of messaging, that's the kind of narrative that these people are trying to put forth. No nuance, folks. They're saying you either get in line with our ideology and what we stand for, or if you oppose us in any way, we've got labels already waiting for you. And we'll use them in a widespread manner. Matter of fact, we'll throw that blanket over the entire population if need be to send a very clear message. Sit down, shut up, fall in line, or suffer the consequences for failing to do so. Headline out of Vice Motherboard, Facebook bans white nationalism and white separatism, by Joseph Cox and Jason Kubler, March 27, 2019. After a civil rights backlash, Facebook will now treat white nationalism and separatism the same as white supremacy, and will direct users who try to post that content to a non-profit that helps people leave hate groups. Nothing here for the Antifa groups, right? And what about the far left? What about the people that are all about these SJWs that hate white people? Or all about the Black Lives Matter or the Islamic groups that constantly put out messaging all the time, as we see, and I usually don't even get into that stuff. But yes, folks, there's a lot of people from identity groups that use some very nasty rhetoric, basically akin or the mirror image of some of these white supremacists or white nationalists. First of all, even the word white nationalism, how can you, first of all, I'm white, right? Think about this for an example. I am a Canadian, right? Which means that it's a nation. Canada's a nation. That's an undeniable reality. Like, I'll reference this basically as if I was looking in the eyes of someone like on the Supreme Court of Canada or any legislator, and I'd say, okay, first of all, especially if they're white, but I'll use me in as example. So, okay, I'd be saying this. So we're looking here in the eyes. So I'm white, right? Yep. It's pretty easy. You recognize, my background, my heritage, my history, other than being Canadian, my forefathers and mothers, I guess, the people that came before me, they were of Irish and Scottish descent predominantly. So very white. White. That's me. I do live in the country of Canada, which is a nation. That's kind of the whole thing of nationalism. That nation is people that are proud of their nation. That's what nationalism represents. Nationalism. So the color, adding the color to nationalism is completely a political derogatory statement and term meant to inflict political or social harm or even ultimately economic harm on people just based on their skin color. Because what if you're black and you're proud of your country? What if you're a black American or Canadian and you're proud of, like, if you're Canada, you're proud of being Canadian? Well, you're a black nationalist. Well, I don't see anything in this article saying that you shouldn't be a black nationalist. So it's basically, literally, like I say, trying to point the proverbial gun or the metaphorical gun at a particular race based on nothing more than their skin color. Dangerous, folks. Very dangerous. And you know I'm not the kind of person that's going to try to play into this kind of racial division. Don't want to play that game whatsoever. But I will point out when there are people who are doing so and using political power as an ultimate means to their end. Because Facebook did not decide to do this on their own fruition. it was because of heavy pressure by people in the Canadian government and many other central planners or authoritarians in the Western world. Those are the people that are forcing or bullying these social media platforms from getting into racial divisions. It's unfortunate, I'm very saddened that some of the people in Facebook are willing to fall in line with this kind of stuff, because it's going to prove to be a detriment, not just for the platform, but for a whole lot of people as well. So, hey, those of you on Facebook, by doing this, you're actually going to contribute to a ramp up and escalation of racial violence and the oppression of particular groups based on nothing more than their skin color. You better start to recognize that reality. In a major policy shift for the world's biggest social media network, Facebook banned white nationalism and white separatism on its platform Tuesday. Facebook will also begin directing users who try to post content associated with those ideologies to a nonprofit that helps people leave hate groups, Motherboard has learned. You're basically saying that all those things represent one thing. I'm not a big fan of that myself either, because I don't look at like everyone because their skin color is supreme in any way, because hello, I'm a white person myself. I realize a lot of white people that are way the fuck down here as far as social and economic competence, and I recognize that people from all races, all backgrounds, all skin colors, there's varying levels of competence. There is no one size fits all that you can ever put, or there's no blanket statement that you can use for entire groups. The fact that they're willing to put forth this stuff tells you, I mean, that it's a big fucking sign suggests that these are the true races, folks. Come on, what more evidence do you need? I mean, they're bullying and using the power of not just government, but the entire power of social media, these huge multinational conglomerates with billions of dollars at their disposal to bully one particular identity group in society. The new policy, which will be officially implemented next week, highlights the malleable nature of Facebook's policies, which govern the speech of more than 2 billion users worldwide. And Facebook still has to effectively enforce the policies if it is really going to diminish hate speech on its platform. The policy will apply to both Facebook and Instagram. Well, I mean, the people that, even this pretense of hate speech, let's just even give them, let's just say that they're actually really genuinely going after only the people that put forth this pretense of hate speech. First of all, who determines what hate speech is? People! Fallible fucking human beings in Facebook, or even these algorithms that even do worse job that we're seeing today, because they throw a lot of people under the bus needlessly because they use that even more of a blanket statement, these algorithms. So there is no genuine objective way to measure or determine what hate speech is. It's subjective. Some people might say a particular thing that you say is hate speech, another person might say that's not hate speech at all. So there's no universal consistency there. It's, once again, they're just picking a one size fits all and a one-way approach to deal with one particular group and no one else. Last year, a Motherboard investigation found that though Facebook banned white supremacy on its platform, it explicitly allowed white nationalism and white separatism. After backlash from civil rights groups and historians who say there is no difference between the ideologies, Facebook has decided to ban all three, two members of Facebook's content policy team said. So, right, they referred to some people, and those people gave them some narrative that convinced them that, nope, you have to go after that particular group. Well, they must have did a pretty good sales job on them, right? Either that or some of these people, these insiders in Facebook were like, oh, that's all I needed. Thanks. That's all I needed. Now I'm going after the group that I already didn't have much respect for anyways. I already don't care for white people anyways. But hey, thanks for giving me some extra fodder to use against them. We've had conversations with more than 20 members of civil society, academics. In some cases, these were civil rights organizations, experts in race relations from around the world. Experts in race. What? Like, think about these experts in race relations. These are people that all they care about is studying relations between the races. They could say, why? Why? What forces, what compels a person to want to go in and study differences between the races? I don't know. But are these really the people? Are they truly going to be unbiased in their approach? I don't think so. Brian Fishman, Policy Director of Counterterrorism at Facebook, told us in a phone call. We decided that the overlap between white nationalism, white separatism, and white supremacy is so extensive we really can't make a meaningful distinction between them. And that's because the language and the rhetoric that is used and the ideology that it represents overlaps to a degree that is not a meaningful distinction. So there's no meaningful distinction if you're just, like I say, me, that's white, and is somewhat even remotely proud to be Canadian. There's no distinction between me, like I say, I am white, and even if I'm even remotely proud of being a Canadian, or pumping up the fact that I'm a white Canadian, there's no distinction between that and someone that, what would don a fucking pointy white fucking hat and burn a cross and maybe hope to lynch some people of a different racial group. Yeah, there's no difference there. I guess that distinction is null and void as far as these people are concerned. Think of how dangerous that is. Think about how fucking ultimately dangerous that can be for how things unfold going forward, putting forth that kind of rhetoric. Specifically, Facebook will now ban content that includes explicit praise, support, or representation of white nationalism or separatism. Phrases such as, I am a proud white nationalist. So just by saying the words, I am a proud white nationalist, like I say, I would never use that. That's not a term I would ever use. I've never used that, and I don't expect to ever use that going forward in the future. But just by sheer fact that someone might ultimately say a phrase such as that, which is pretty benign as far as I'm concerned, that is considered hate speech and is now going to be banned. And immigration is tearing this country apart. White separatism is the only answer, will now be banned. So that's another phrase. Even by saying that immigration is tearing this country apart, that is now deemable as hate speech, apparently. So like I say, these are people that are saying we're going to control not just their physical selves by using the power of the state on a continuing ongoing basis. It's already a reality, but now we're going to police the speech to the point where their science is expressed to so heavily that if they dare even utter anything that's in defiance of what we stand for or what we want to propagate to the masses, they're now evil, vile people and should be treated accordingly. Well, like I've said before, folks, the onus is on you. You see, this is all you need. This should be enough information for you to learn that these people have it in for you. And if they ever gain enough power to follow through on their devious plans that they have for you, don't think for 1 minute that they won't. I mean, if they're not shy enough to put forth this stuff in a media publication or on an entire social media platform, you think they're going to be shy to come after you when they actually have real power? Right now, they don't have quite enough power, right? That's why they're still using this kind of rhetoric. They're still trying to propagandize you into conformity or bully you into conformity. But if that don't work, well, does it look like that they're going to step down or de-escalate? Or do you think they're going to ramp up and escalate the tensions and violence to make sure you shut the fuck up? They're saying, well, you better shut up now. But if you don't, yeah, we've got other tools. We've got other weapons in the arsenal that we'll use against you. Namely, government force. Namely, the police. Who are now, as we've learned just recently in a video I've already done, is now the police, the RCMP in Canada, they're watching everything you do on social media. But yeah, the RCMP in Canada, they're already spying on everything that you do on social media. Why? Because the government wrote a law, a piece of legislation, said, well, we're allowed to do that. It's immoral and it's illegitimate and illegal under like genuine common or natural law. But like I say, legislators, their laws are whatever they determine and dictate. So anyways, I'll post a link to this article in the description of the video below, but just think about the present here, folks. Look at how dangerous things are getting. Like I say, and it's not going to get better. Like I say, you're not going to be able to close your eyes, plug your ears, and pretend that this stuff's going to just go away overnight if you just ignore it long enough, right? If you just protest harder, if you just write enough petitions, none of that shit is going to do anything. The only thing that's going to push back against these people enough where they won't feel quite as emboldened to do this stuff is for, hey, look, they're showing their teeth. And not only they're showing their teeth, they're basically at the point where, like, go ahead, just give me an excuse to bite you. Well, you might want to show your teeth too. Because while they're showing their teeth and basically getting ready to pounce on you, hey, if you're just one of those people that's cowering in the corner, right, you're only emboldening them to forego the warning and actually take a big old chunk out of you. And the only way you can possibly prevent that from happening is, like I say, you got to turn and face them, show your own teeth, and get ready to defend yourself when someone is threatening you, like I say, in your personal freedom or your personal liberty, like I say, socially or economically. The only thing you have at your disposal is self-defense. Yeah, you might want to take advantage of it, and start doing so before it's too late. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.